Chris.
Hey, how are you?
Fantastic. How are you?
Good.
Thank you for staying by. This is, hopefully next, in a few months, maybe you could be on one of these extended live streams when your stock goes to, 18x.
Well, I mean, you only want 10 baggers, you said. I heard you say that.
No, 100 baggers.
100 baggers.
We're getting a little more, we're raising the standards. We haven't had too many 10 baggers. We need to raise standards. We need to know actually, Chris, I think really the idea for today is, the point of today's interview, the bottom line is, I guess investors want to know, what is the path, for bets, i3 Interactive. Can this be, our next 10 bagger, 20 bagger? What can this become a, $5 stock? So I'll kind of open up with that question. What's the path for this to being a, $5 stock for starters?
I mean, we can talk about,
wait, hold on. Before we get into that, I'm going to interrupt you. First, for anybody that's new, what does i3 Interactive do?
So i3 Interactive, we're a full service gambling company, online gambling company in regulated markets. We offer casinos, sportsbook, and then in some regulated markets, we offer both daily fantasy sports as well as poker. So that's more of our India, Latin America focus right now. Okay. And then in North America, we're more of a casino, online casino, and sportsbook through blitzbet.eu.
Okay. And so so the main market, is India your main market from what I understand?
Well, it was our starting point as a management team. So I've been in the business for 20 plus years. 2003, I started I had my first site in 2003. I sold all my sites in 2010. It's a massive, the gambling market is a massive market, but the bottom line is it's a small community. So I went out and recruited, when the US legalized, all of the best management team that we could get. Like all of the guys that I've been friends with for 20 plus years, from PokerStars, Bet365, Victor Chandler, Bodog, and there's no company that we didn't attack their C-suite level management to make the best management team I possibly could come up with. Now, from that, we decided on a strategy where we would enter the India market initially through acquisitions. And then from that, we will pivot into the US in year one, which you'll see in the coming months.
Okay, so that's pretty interesting. I haven't come across too many companies that are active, in the gaming space in India. Tell us about that. For anybody that doesn't know, what's the opportunity about? What do they bet on? How big is the market? All that good stuff.
I mean, the India market, we have 1.3 billion people. 65% of their population is under 35. Just one sec. There's something on my screen there. Since COVID and a complete lockdown, the revenue streams for gambling companies have gone through the roof. Skill-based gaming is massive in the India market. So we use all of us as a management team, we studied the markets and how we would enter, how we would get to cash flow positive in the fastest way possible. It was through India. I'll give you an example. A cost per acquisition.
I think also the audience should know you know this business. You've been at this business since really its infancy, 20 plus years. So if you're saying India is the place to start,
I was a kid.
It's compelling.
Yeah. So the main, if you look at any gambling company, the real key, the key points that, if I looked at a balance sheet income statement, is what is your cost per acquisition? In the India market, we're getting CPAs of less than $25. And then your LTV, which is your lifetime value of those customers, are in the $150 to $200 US range. So, we're making 7-8 times our investment in the India market on players. In the US, I'll give that as an example. Right now, I won't name companies, but the top 3 companies in the US, in some cases, they're paying $500 to $1,000 and taking losses on the ROI of the cost per acquisition just to do a land grab so their competitors can't basically get those players. I'm not in that market where I lose money when I do an acquisition. As a company, we made the conscious choice to do deals that make sense, to do acquisitions that make money. And that is why we chose the Indian market initially. So we acquired right now we're the third fastest growing poker site in the Indian market. We're on the Spartan network, BlitzBet, Blitz Poker. And then we just acquired for $8.7 million live pools, which if we're doing comparison as a guy that have been in the industry with a management team that's been in the industry, we look at live pools basically as DraftKings. So the number one largest DFS company in the India market is a company called Dream 11. They're worth $2.5 billion. So yes, they have a head start on everyone. Their main sports are cricket, soccer, tennis. And what we did was we decided that, look, we want to create an ecosystem in the Indian market. I literally look at it as, okay, we have poker. It's a skill game. We have DFS. 55, it's a known stat in our gambling world and industry, if you do research, that 55% of all DFS players, daily fantasy sports players, will cross-market and convert into poker players. So if we're making, let's call it $3 to $10 million in revenue from our poker from our DFS site, 55% of them will cross over, and then all of a sudden the lifetime value of those players will double to triple because we're actually selling them a different product. So we're creating a full ecosystem in the India market. It's one of our focuses now, and now we'll be talking in the months to come, but we're pivoting now into the US, North America market. We're live in Canada. We have a sports book doing probably $1 million to $1.5 million in gross gaming revenue in the first 6 months. We'll do that this year. In our India assets, we'll do another few million. So our goal for year one was get everything set up in order, and then conquer India, get the right assets, do the right acquisitions, and then pivot with our strategic plan into the United States market, which is why you're seeing Penn National trading at $80 to $100 when it's a land-based casino and it only owns 30% of Barstool. Or another Canadian competitor we have is trading with a $1.6 billion market cap, and they have negative gross gaming revenue for the last 3 quarters, whereas we're a company with we have multiple $1 million in gross gaming revenue. So one of the key things with us is we're brand new to the market. Not many people know. Shows like this is what's going to get us exposure, and people will start to understand the upside in what we're doing.
Okay, so let's talk about the upside. So what are you doing? What are you doing right now in revenues? The run rate, approximately, like what kind of run rate?
I would guess we will do anywhere from 3.5 to 5 million in year one. Keep in mind, we didn't launch. That's just gross gaming revenue. Keep in mind, we didn't launch. We launched. We went public July 2nd. We launched our sportsbook casino just in Canada and the Canadian market in August 10th, if I was guessing. And then we did an acquisition of our poker company on the Spartan network, which is Blitz Poker. And then December 22nd, we closed on Live Pools, which was an $8.7 million acquisition of a DFS company with 1.7 million customers who are untapped to cross-market into our other products.
Wait, so you have right? How many customers do you have? How big is your database right now?
If I was guessing, I would say we're between 2 and 3 million.
2 and 3 million customers that you have
in 7 months.
Okay. And have they all bet? Have they all spent money?
That I would have to go through. That's a tough call. Like there's retention, there's there's conversion. Like we have players that are consistently VIPs that are worth a lot of money. If a guy puts on $20, makes plays a DFS tournament, and then we might not see him for 6 months. So, I mean, we're talking registrations when I say customers.
Okay. What is that worth? I mean, what are the metrics in this industry? Like, maybe you can share some of, like,
I
what are
mean,
the valuations like?
I mean, like 2010, I sold all of my company at a multiple of about 14 times. That was in 2010. 14 times revenue. Right
Okay.
now, I mean, you have companies acquiring assets for 20 to 25x. Like if you just look,
Revenues. Revenue.
yeah, revenues. They're trading at 20 plus revenue, 20 times revenue.
Okay. How many shares out do you have right now? Like, fully diluted,
So,
approximately.
so we were extremely worried when COVID hit, and it was something that we planned for. So we have 100-ish million shares outstanding, and then we baked in another 30 million in warrants. So we didn't know what was going to happen. Our ability to go out and raise money with funds, institutional investors. So we baked in for the management team $30 million in warrants. So we have I think we have another 60 million in shares and warrants that we can access they're between 25 cents and $1.50.
Okay. So right now, okay. So the valuation. So still, right now, the company is trading, significantly, below it, below its peer. The valuation is significantly below its peers in the public gaming space.
I would say we are
Half, less than half.
way less, way less. I mean, if you look at the score, I know both John and Benji. I had a TV show a long time ago. We almost did a number of deals at the score. I'm not picking on them, but they're trading at $1.5 billion market cap with negative gross gaming revenue for the last 2 quarters in sports betting. I mean, we barely touched the surface in our marketing. We'll do $1 million in gross gaming revenue this year in our sports betting, in our sports book. We also have Andy Lee and Ian Merriman running our sports book, which is our big advantage. If you were to ask me what it is, they both ran PokerStars for 5 years. They turned that into $100 million profit center for the Stars Group. So I recruited them from PokerStars. Their both backgrounds are Bet365. Victor Chandler, Ian was the head trader at both, and then at Stars, and then Andy was the head of online at William Hill for 13 years. He was an analyst, and he took Party Poker public, and then joined us as our managing director of sportsbook and casino.
Okay, so you get some, you got some heavy hitters on the team.
It's just relationships, a long time in the business, doing deals. So, we've attracted the best, and now it's time to execute on our strategy.
Okay. What, actually, so what, in terms of what, how big, I mean, like, based on what you have right now, like, the assets, what do you think you could generate, let's say, 18 months from now? What kind of run rate can you hit?
I mean, we'll look at it as 2 segments. Our India assets, I mean, they're trading at 20 to 25x revenue. I mean, this year we'll do 3 to 5. Next year we're projecting 2021, 2022, 10 to 20 million. That's just in our India assets. We're creating a large ecosystem there where our cost per acquisition, we're going to get that down to basically a zero. Not a close enough to a zero. When I say zero, it means that our own players from all of our different properties and assets, we're cross marketing to those players to come across, play DFS. So our poker players will be fed marketing information and opportunities to come across and play DFS. The 2 million registrations we have in our DFS will be cross marketed our poker. I think that business can be $100 million business, which would give us $1 a share. If no warrants were executed, our North American business,
$100 million revenue business
valuation.
Okay,
Yeah. And then our U.S. North America business, that is where our real big opportunity is. We're inches away we're on the goal line, we'll call it in the NFL. To doing a deal with a multi-billion-dollar, one of the largest companies in the gaming space in the U.S., where we'll become their partner in every state as we go forward in every state in the United States.
Okay, so you got some exciting things happening here. Let's get into some questions, audience questions here. Jayant is asking, associating your brand. Are you doing something with
Yeah,
the
we are.
in India?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've signed a number of we have the captain of the India cricket team as one of our influencers, and he's driven over 20 million people to our poker site in the last quarter, I guess 3-4 months since the summer. And then we have IPL starting in March, and I mean he will be highly influential
What's his
in
name?
that space. Do you want me to grab it? Because it's I'll grab the name. I don't want to say it wrong. Just give me 2 seconds. I apologize. I should have this written down. He plays it with one of the number one teams in the cricket league in India, and he's the captain of their national team.
Okay.
Give me 2 seconds. His name is Dinesh Karthik. That's the problem is his last name with me all the time.
Okay.
Dinesh Karthik. And so we also have Randir Singh, who's he's a Bollywood star. Randir would have, I think, 80 million followers. So we're doing a lot of work with social. We figure print, radio, stuff like that is just so out of date in our industry. We want direct, we want to be able to track directly where our players are coming from and how much it's costing us, instead of basically, taking out a print ad in the cricket magazine in India. So we've been highly successful. I mean, we're the third fastest growing poker site in India right now, behind Ada and PokerStars.
Okay, so the cricket is the way to go in India. Cricket
in India is absolutely, it's NFL. It's the NFL in North America.
Yeah. I mean, I remember some guy told me he actually would watch. I know there's some sort of playoff, and it's like 12 hours a day, and he would watch it for like 12 hours a day for like a week. Some sort of, I don't know what the event is. I mean, I don't know what cricket. I mean, cricket is basically big.
I have this argument with our managing director, Andy Lee. He will watch a cricket match for 2-3 days, place a bet on it through a different site, not our site, and he'll watch a cricket match for 2-3 days on the weekend.
Oh, here we go. This is it.
There it is. He's captain of IPL Team KKR. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Kohli. What is Kohli? Oh, I think he was I guess he was guessing. Okay, so Kartik. Okay. Okay. Virat Kohli. Is that? Do you know? No. I think that was guessing. No, it's the other guy. It's
yes.
Okay. Dinesh Kartik. No, wait.
Karthik. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm glad you're struggling with it as well.
Okay. So we got. Let's get some questions here. What percentage are you? I mean, you basically just started. What kind of metrics? Like,
we're 5x. When we purchased the poker site, we've grown that from 25,000 a month to approximately 200,000 US a month since we bought it. So it's like 10x from where we started. It's growing right now. I mean, we're the third fastest growing poker site in the Indian market. We've held the largest poker tournaments ever in the Indian market in the last 6 months. And we're highly focused. We have a team that grew in the two senior executives from another company that basically turned Latin America and India into a $600 million profit center that are running that market for us.
Okay, so you got some heavy hitters aboard. I mean, it's one of the questions I always ask is, tell us about who's on your team there. So, I'll tell you what. Let's kind of recap. Just do a quick rundown because that's an important question. So, who are the key players on the team running, doing the operations here?
So we have. I'll give you some background on them.
Yeah.
Our managing director for our sportsbook and casino is Andy Lee. He was 13 years as chief operating officer at William Hill. William Hill was a $4 billion company. he retired, or sorry, when Ralph Topping, the CEO, retired, Andy moved over to PokerStars to launch Stars Bet, which is their U.S. product that operates in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and a few other states. They turned Andy and his part and Ian and Marmon. They basically were the two guys who launched and ran. Ian's the head trader. He's our head trader. He was the head trader at Bet365, Victor Chandler, and now he's with us. And him and Andy launched successfully and turned Stars into a $100 million product. From our content perspective, we have Joe Holka. Joe ran Fantasy Lab, which is a Mark Cuban company, which was acquired by the Action Network. So Joe runs all of our content for all of our sites. In Latin America, India, we have both Jesse and Saxton. They come from, their background is they were the CEO and COO of Bodog, which is a multi-billion-dollar company. And they're running out of India and Latin America. They're both there. They're running all of those assets we're acquiring and bringing other assets to the table as we move forward here.
Okay. Let's see. Sorry, to answer this question, you did not. Dream 11 is a big. You did not buy Dream 11.
No, they're worth $2.5 billion. We didn't buy them. We're gonna. I mean, we'll take it slow. We just we'd like to be number 2 right now.
Jant is asking, what about what's the legal situation about gambling in India? How are you making?
I mean, sportsbook and casino is illegal right now. It's legal in some jurisdictions in India. We're really focused on the skill gaming, i.e., poker and DFS.
Okay, and that
both are legal. Yeah, both are legal.
Okay. What's Shafin is asking, what's your biggest advantage compared to other companies in the space besides your team?
I mean, it's hard to get away from our team. I mean, it's 20. We're our 5-6 senior level guys have all been in the industry for 20 years. If I had a loony for every time a headhunter contacted me or a guy on our team to go work for one of the US companies, because the US market, the biggest problem they have is getting really, really good employees because it didn't exist. There was no online gambling unless it was offshore illegal gamblers. So they're trying to recruit from the European market. So they have guys from Europe coming in and trying to shove down the throats of US gamblers a European offering. So, we have a team that has worked in all markets, and I would say it's our number one competitive advantage. And, we look at the India market as 2003, if everyone remembers, when the Chris Moneymaker poker boom happened. So back in 2003, we had an explosion of online poker. We are there. If you looked inside of the metrics, which we've studied for 7-8 months prior to entering the market with acquisitions, the India market is exploding, similar to what the US did. Now it's exploding in the daily fantasy sports the same way DraftKings and FanDuel did. So look at they brought up Dream 11. That's FanDuel right now. Our goal is to become the DraftKings of India, and that is
DraftKings of India is the goal.
That's, if you ask me, who are we trying to become in the DFS space with live pools? I mean, in a year, or the company has 1.5 to 1.7 to 2 million registered users. And then during IPL, our acquisition, we'll be doing 1,000 to 10,000 new registrations a day.
Yeah, no, that's massive. And what's amazing is I think this is a great everybody, a lot of investors are looking for pure play on an emerging growth market. I mean, how many good pure plays are there on India right now? This is a great play because this is a pure play on the basically the growing middle class.
We're using, just to be clear, India is one of our focuses, but we're using that as as our cash cow. So we're setting that up to be a very highly profitable sector of our company, with our our pivot as we enter the second half of the first year in business into the United States and North America market.
We got a question here. How much cash do you have for M&A? I guess the question is, are you planning to do any acquisitions?
We literally just closed to what 5-6 weeks ago on an $8.7 million acquisition of Live Pools, which is the DFS company. And yes, I was on with one of our partners last night, and we're highly focused on the right acquisitions. And I would say we will do another acquisition in the next 2 quarters.
In the next 6 months.
Yes.
Okay. When you said something interesting. You said highly focused on the right acquisitions. What is the right acquisition? What's what kind of
vertical integration? Vertical integration where companies are monetized, they're doing well, but we can take their database and create a much higher lifetime value. For example, our poker players. Let's say the average poker player in India is worth $250. If we cross-market that poker player to a DFS player, all of a sudden that $250 may go up to $400. So we acquire that player for under $25. We cross-market them a second product that they're not playing currently, and then we just increased, our margin on that player by 50 to 70%. So we're very focused on vertical integration and buying companies that we can use their database to monetize in other areas of our company.
Okay. So in terms of so let's talk about what's your vision for i3. What is this company going to look like? Let's just say 2 years from now. What's your vision for this company? Assuming everything goes.
If I gave you like the 2 pillars as of today without adding anything else, we'd be one of the top 2 operators in the India market, if not sold, be bought out because of how fast our growth. We're growing at 5x. We're the 3rd fastest growing company in that market right now. In the U.S. market, based on the deals we're going to do in the coming weeks, I would say 24 months, there'd be probably 20-ish states open to take business in casino and sportsbook. We would be pretty close to fully integrated operating in those 20 states as a B2C provider.
To consumer. So it's a direct, okay.
Business to consumer, yes.
Okay. And what kind of revenues would you be generating? What would the metrics look like 2 years from now? Again, assuming everything goes right, what's the picture?
I don't want to project 2 years out, but the sky's the limit. And if anyone knows, what these companies are trading at, it's absolutely insane. Everyone's moving online. The biggest thing with the pandemic and the biggest advantage online companies have, and a group like us, is, all of the people that got in their car and drove to the casino are now realizing they can, sit in their pajamas and get the same entertainment on a Friday or Saturday by playing slots, by playing blackjack. And there's a huge problem for the land-based operator. That is, we're getting 30 to 40% increased clientele that have never played online. So our goal is to educate them more and more about the online market because, with COVID, they can't, walk into the Wynn Casino or, the Flamingo in Vegas because of regulations and rules.
Okay. Question from Mayank. Are you planning to bring an NBA or NFL star for the North American market as DraftKings brings on Michael Jordan?
Yeah, he's just a board member, to be honest. He would have gotten equity, as we know, for that. He's not the face of their brand or anything such like that. Yes, we're working with marketing agencies now for influencers in the North American market, and we'll probably drill down to localizing that. So instead of doing, a nationwide, we'll probably get local based on our rollout state by state. So in the US market, it's completely different where each state is like its own country. You cannot, gamble. If you're in New Jersey, as soon as you cross that line to get to New York, you can't place a bet. So you're hyper focused on the markets that you're in. It looks like the first market we'll be entering is Tennessee, so we'll be focused on an influencer in the Tennessee market. Second market most likely will be Illinois, New Jersey, and then we'll continue to move from there.
Okay, no, so, I mean, so I got to tell you, Chris. So, yeah, from speaking to you, it sounds like you really know this business, like operationally, like how what works in local markets. So it's
I mean, you've got to localize. That's the biggest problem with. I mean, if you look at what is happening and happened over the years with DraftKings going to Europe and the European brands coming into the North American market, they're shoving down everyone's throat. Let's take William Hill, for example. I'm not trying to badmouth anyone, but they did a $20 to $50 million spend with the NHL just to become the official sports book. But what is the real ROI on that? It's very minimal because they're advertising on just NHL.com. There's no real high conversion rate to get a low cost per acquisition for that company. So they're using tactics that worked in Europe in the soccer industry and trying to just drive that into the US consumer. Whereas, a company like DraftKings, who I'm, very I'm bullish on, they'll be still around in 5 years. I think a lot of the European brands will be gone.
Okay.
I think Barstool and Penn will be still FanDuel, Barstool, Penn. But I think a lot of the European brands will realize they can't compete with the localized marketing that the big brands are doing in the US.
Or they could buy you.
I'm very open to that. and so would our shareholders.
Okay. So the path, I think the first thing I asked you, well, what's the path to $5 a share to being so $5, what? That's a billion valuation, no? Or
yeah, I mean, we're at 80 million, 80, 90 million right now. It's more of awareness and allowing us to execute on our plan. We're only a 7-month-old public company. We've been planning this for a year and a half, our management team. And, give us a year. I mean, we're having a different conversation next year. If we're not at $4 or $5, I will be highly shocked if we execute on our plan. I mean, the reason why I went out and hired all the people I did is because they have a track record of success of execution. You don't build multiple billion-dollar brands without execution.
Okay. Michael's asking, what's the debt and what's the balance sheet?
We have no debt. We have no debt. Cash, I would say, it depends on how much of our warrants they're exercised. We would have probably we're doing about $3 million in revenue, and we'd have another few $1,000,000 in cash on hand based on a raise. We have a plan to do a $10 to $40 million raise in the coming months as our stock grows, and we don't dilute the people that came in early. So we're going to be very careful on dilution.
Okay. Ramsey is asking, any plans for doing things in China?
China is a black market, they consider it, which is fully illegal. We do not have plans to operate in any unregulated market.
Okay. Mohammed, I agree with this. CEO knows this industry. Knowing the industry is the key. Okay. Let's Chris, let's kind of wrap up here.
Sure.
What can we expect from the company in terms of news flow over the next, let's call it 6 weeks? What kind of catalysts what catalysts do you have in place? What's going on for the next
I mean, we'll give an update of our current. I mean, the IPL will launch in March. So we'll be doing a lot of news on how our DFS product is growing, and with the cricket launching for their new season, and you're going to start seeing a lot of news about our U.S. entry and our U.S. strategy, and that would be we will have me and you will have a full show probably to discuss that because it'll be one of the biggest deals in the U.S.
Okay, so the U.S. entering U.S. market is the upcoming catalyst.
It's one of them. Yeah, it's okay. 60 to 90 days is the plan right now. We're we're rebranding a site right now to launch in a U.S. state as we speak, and
Okay.
we're going through the regulatory regime to get licensed.
Okay. Chris, I'm going to ask you, last question. This is what we ask every CEO on this program. In your opinion, top 3 reasons why investors should consider bets today?
I mean, no one knows about us. I mean, that's awareness. I mean, we're starting to actually focus on IR/PR, which we didn't for the first 6 months. We were more interested in building, the right structure and getting everything in place and the right people in place. We have, a team of 20 plus people in Gibraltar that run all of our back end for customer support. We had a lot of things to do when we launched, and now we're just focused on, getting marketing out on who we are. I don't want to use the cliche, but our management team is second to none. Like, I'd put it up against any management team in our entire business. I mean, people can go on and take a look, go on LinkedIn, look at people working for us. I truly believe we have the best management team in online gaming, and I'd put it up against any of them. And the fact that we're creating an ecosystem in an emerging market such as India, that no one, there's very few companies really focused on that market. That is, if anyone knows online gaming and the Chris Moneymaker effect from 2003, we're seeing that exact thing happen over there. Like, so poker was a huge boom from 2001 or 2002 to 2006. And then UEGA happened. And then 2010 Black Friday happened. In that time, like, poker was what everyone was doing. We're seeing that same boom. We've all been through it, all of the management, and I'm seeing the same growth rates. I'm watching. It's like I'm watching a movie from 2004 here, when we had our other poker company going, and that it's one of the key attributes to our business is that growth in the Indian market.
So it's almost like somebody, to use an internet analogy, it's almost like the start of the .com era when somebody could have gotten in on Amazon in 1997, when it was still just early on, 98, whatever it was.
100%. I mean, look at the multiples that the gambling companies are trading at right now. Think about when the next time you're going to see a packed casino, a land-based casino. Never. I'm short a lot of the casino companies unless they have a very strategic online strategy, and I'm long all of the online companies that have really great brands and really great strategies. This market is, it's one of the oldest gambling. Online gambling is, it's been ongoing since before 2000. It's not going away. The tax money $1 billion a month is gambled in New Jersey. Like, they're making 16.5% of $1 billion each month. So the government are making $165 million in tax revenue for a small state like New Jersey. Like, what happens when California opens? What happens when New York opens? This market is, they're saying it's a certain level, but I'm bullish. I think it's 10x what they think. I don't think they understand how much money is being bet with their local bookies and how much money is being bet offshore with those companies that still exist, that operate in unregulated markets.
Excellent. Okay, Chris, last comment question. Janit is saying, you got to get this guy Virat Kohli.
Yeah, we know who he is. Yeah, we're very familiar with him. We have an agency that we work with in India, and we've had talks with them. There's a number of people in that market. We're going to be adding certain influencers in Canada, US. I mean, we've worked with Nick Kyprios from the NHL, Sean Avery. We have a number of different influencers that we've worked with over the last year in the markets that we're operating, and we're continuously focused on that because we're seeing our highest ROI. And you're starting to see brands like MGM use Jamie Foxx. People are starting to catch on that it's the fastest way to get the cheapest cost per acquisition.
Excellent. Chris, on that note, thank you for telling the story to our audience. We're going to catch up with you in a couple of weeks, hopefully on the next podcast. And again, our goal is not 10 baggers. We're looking for 100 baggers now. So, we're raising our standards. You better, meet those standards.
I'm not sleeping much, so I'll do my best.
Fantastic. Chris, thank you again. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. See you.
Have a great day.